Welcome back, folks. This is episode 65. It's about your paycheck. We're going to break down the anatomy of a paycheck today. But before we get into that, what's up, Walt?
I'm good, man. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, man. One of the things that I've been doing that I know I told you on a personal level, consciousness, subconsciousness, and
Yeah.
how that. So I had learned, my therapist was telling me, like, look, your conscious are like, our active consciousness is only 5% of our total consciousness, and that the subconscious and unconscious is the other 95%. And I was like, no way. And she got a little mad. She's like, Brian, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like I'm a trained doctor here, you know what I mean? And she pulled up a slide, like
Yeah.
a visual, and I was like, all right, just because you got a visual don't make it true. But that's me and my skepticalness. But she's right. Like, I went out and did the research, and if y'all are like, he's bugging, look it up. I'm telling you, it's true. And I think, and I started thinking about it more, and I think that's how people get confused with, oh, we only use 5% of our brain power or 10%.
Yeah.
No, that's, which is not true, because I checked that out too, and I was like, nope, we use a lot of our brain power. Like, that's not true. So I think it's the
Some of
consciousness
us
that
use,
people.
some of us use a lot of brain.
That's the different part. So I just been like, so one of the things that an easy little thing to do to start to reprogram your subconscious, if you've had any trauma in your background, in your childhood, and
Which
things
is
that you need
most
to
people.
unpack. Yeah, I got this. Yeah, some people not. I hope that there's some people that don't have fucking trauma in their life, but if you do, and you got there's things that you got to unpack, or you're right, you get caught in that negativity. And like, I try to tell my daughter now, she hates math, and she every time you say math, she's like, oh no. And I'm like, hey, look, half of that problem is the attitude that you're giving it,
Yeah.
right? That energy that you're giving it is half the problem you have.
Yeah.
So, and all that to say is, one of the little things that you could do that I've been learning in the research is, in your morning, start the day with on a happy tone, right? Start the day on a positive tone. And I just made a little playlist on my Spotify, and like Pharrell's Happy,
Yep.
Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy, like
Hmm.
my favorite track right now. Three Little Birds from Bob Marley, just and on. And there's a few rap tracks in there. It's Ice Cube, It's a Good Day. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
That's a nice one.
Jada, We Gonna Make It.
We
Dipset, I'm
gonna
Ready. There's, yep, exactly. So it's just like keeping that feel, and it helps me throughout the day, because those become the songs that play in my head all day.
stay on.
They repeat, that
Yep.
earworm that just keeps promoting that, and it does carry me through the day in a
Yeah.
different way. You know what I
Absolutely, man.
mean?
Yeah. So thank
Yeah,
you for sharing that, man. Thank you for being vulnerable and open. Because
yeah, for
because I
sure.
think a lot of times in on these shows we don't really dive so deep into that so
Yeah,
much. And so I thank you for sharing that. And everybody has their battles and struggles, right? Like you have your life experience that caused you to have the mindset that you have had majority of your life. And now you're at this point like, hey, I need to reframe
reprogram.
and
Yep.
reprogram how I think. And it's the same thing for me, right? I've had traumas in my life and I used to have a defeatist mindset. It was like, oh, woe is me. Always the victim, always
Hmm.
something I like, woe is me, like all that. And then I started realizing, man, if I, and I don't want to die today, but if I die today, like I could look back on my life, even through all the messed up stuff, and say, man, I had a pretty good life. I've met some good people, had great friends in my life. I've been able to travel the world, been able to see beautiful sights and stuff like that. And a lot of people do a lot of things that a lot of people haven't been able to do. And so, like you, I'm living my life from a place of gratefulness. And I think a lot of us need to do that because a lot of us have been afforded so much more than our counterparts. Not saying we haven't had any struggles, but man, a lot of us are extremely blessed.
Yeah. Yep. And we don't realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize that we were, and it's a thought it's been recurring for me a lot recently. Is like, 10 years ago, I was dreaming about where I'm at now,
Yes, bro. Yes.
and I'm far from rich, still living paycheck to paycheck, but bills are paid, and my own home. And I used to be in New York. My scenery was looking at these buildings, and it was just gray, and it was just like,
Yep.
I can't wait till my visual changes, and boom, took 10 years, but now it's 10 years later, and now I get to walk my dog and there's palm trees down a
Yep.
nice road. And
Yep.
is it great, man? Yeah, man. That's it. I know we have to usually do financial fitness challenge, which we're well on our way for, folks. And if
Yeah.
you haven't forgotten that part of this, our fitness challenge is underway. We are committed to it. We both making progress. Walt's over there clearing up debt, and
Yep.
I'm on my way to do that right now. I'm listing the things that need to get paid off, and there's always like a strategy. You can do high interest rate, high balances, whichever one, and then as you pay off, you take that money and put it to the next one, and
Yep.
you snowball effect. You
Yep.
do it like that. So we're working through that, man. And man, it's just, you gotta want the change, man.
Yep.
You gotta want the change. Yeah, life is tough. It's tough for everybody.
You can do it. You can do it too. Like even in these tough times, we have to learn how to adapt. Like feeling it.
Yep.
I live paycheck to paycheck. You live paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of different things that kind of segues me into my talking point
Oh,
and for
okay, go
you
for
too,
it.
right?
Yeah,
So because it's a percentage in here that automatically made me think about the employees that live
paycheck
paycheck
to
to
paycheck.
paycheck. So
Right.
look, a substantial portion of employees, around 62%, do not fully understand how their pay is determined.
Wow, that's crazy.
So is it that same 62% of or 65% of people or 70% of people that live paycheck to paycheck? I don't know. But
Yeah,
look, I think some of them fall into that
for
number
sure.
for
For
sure,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so while many organizations communicate about pay policies, a significant number of employees do not understand the specific factors that influence their compensation. This lack of understanding can lead to feelings of unfairness or dissatisfaction.
Yes. Yeah. And it
And I
was like you go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead. Get your
It
thought
was
out.
like we was just saying on the other show. What were we saying that you just made me think of lack of understanding and fairness? Oh, about like what were we saying about like how much we're paid, and do we get
Oh,
paid
the
our worth?
military structure.
Military oh,
Yeah,
yes, military structure being
yeah,
seniority and tenure and
yeah.
all that, where that doesn't always translate in the
No,
US pay. You could be doing something for 20 years and
you could
still
have a degree.
you could have a degree and can't find nothing, and you got to go make bare minimum wage out there, and
Yeah,
it is what it is. Like, and one thing before I move into my piece is growth. Overcome these type of challenges, you got to have a growth mindset, right?
mhm,
Our friend Bart, and I know this is the Paycheck show, but Payroll Mind, Bart Vanderstorm, cool friggin' name. He wrote a book on called The Payroll Mind and how to influence as a global payroll professional. But he talks about the growth mindset and versus a fixed mindset. Just like you said, you would had that defeatist mindset, which
yep,
would be a fixed mindset
yep,
of I can't get any better than this. I can't.
yep,
This is it for me.
yep.
Whereas a growth mindset, you take a challenge, and instead of saying how this is going to ruin me, you're going to say, what am I going to learn from this, and how do I overcome?
Yes, exactly, bro. And I had to look back at my life, and I had to think, like, even about the part about my understanding my pay. Right? There's been people I've talked to that felt that way. Like, I don't get paid enough, and they realize at the like, actually, you're paid at the top,
You
pretty
top
much at
of
the
your
top
yes,
of your bracket.
yes,
Actually, you're above that of what people are earning. Okay, maybe you're just satisfied with your manager or the
right.
amount of work that you're doing, necessarily the pay.
So I got too technical with that statement of they don't understand how they're paid, because I'm like, wait a minute, your hourly rate times this is how you get paid. What you're more saying is, I guess, how their compensation is figured,
Yeah.
and what that annual or hourly rate is,
Yes.
how they come up
All of
with
it.
that,
All of
all
it.
of that,
Net
right?
pay, like,
Yes.
they don't understand, like, 62% don't fully understand how their pay is determined. I know my hey, I know I get this, I know I get that, and it goes into the stub as well. We'll talk more about it. I got some
Yep.
stuff that in the below section we're gonna talk about when we get to the main topic,
So yeah,
but
and
before
a good, again, great segue. Mine is five common paycheck mistakes to avoid when switching jobs.
Ooh.
Okay. And yep, things that you just don't think about sometimes. Let's see. Number one is not double checking your compensation,
Mm, mhm,
right? You
mhm,
agree to something, you get an offer letter. Hopefully, you get an offer letter. If you don't, you should try to. make sure that something is in writing, right? Even if you don't have an offer letter, ask for something in writing. Miscalculating pay cycles. So if you go from, to give you an example, I just talked to a certified financial planner who said a lot of his customers don't even know what their pay frequency is. And as a payroll professional, it's like, what do you mean? But I took myself outside of that to think, I'm like, okay, I get it. Maybe because if it's not every week, if it's bi weekly, I guess if it's not every week, then yes, it could get confusing because semi monthly is 24 times a year and biweekly is 26 times a year. So if you go from a company that is right two different cycles, a good example is I get paid semi monthly now, but then I go to a company that's bi-weekly, you could actually get paid more, but make the same per check because it's
Mhm,
divided over more. So that would
mhm.
be you miscalculating your pay cycle, you like not understanding your compensation right there. Wait a minute, I'm getting paid the same check. So then you have to go ask those questions, right? Wait a minute, how many? So that's a good question and call out for everybody. Ask your payroll professionals, HR professionals, how many times a year are we paid? So that take that
Good
away.
call out.
Omitting contributions is the next one.
Yeah,
Unclaimed relocation reimbursements. That's a
yeah,
good one because folks forget to write. You got to
yep.
submit things. We got to call out.
No, I'm gonna wait till you get to your 5th
Okay,
one to
okay.
see because that's something I
And
wanna
then,
mention.
yep, the last one is bypassing benefit or tax enrollments.
There you go, like, so I was gonna say something about specifically the W-4 or if you're in a
That's what it
state
says. The W
that
four. Yep.
that has those state taxes, you move in
Hmm.
the state. Because look, what I've seen is when a person leaves one job and goes to another, they don't
Hmm.
fill the W-4 the same as
That's
it was,
right.
and maybe rightfully, but
Sure.
if you want your taxes a certain way,
Yep.
let's say like now hopefully you don't have a lateral move where you just move
Same
from one
money.
job making and then you just like so you may want to change it, right?
Right.
But let's say for some reason you move to a different company, it's the same pay but a
Hmm.
little bit better benefits, like they cover more something, right?
Sure.
And you fill out your W-4 the same, or you don't, or you like, because I see it all the time now, like where somebody like updates their W-4 and they forgot that they checked the box on the W-4 that says 2 jobs or more. And then they
Yes.
notice that, "Oh, my taxes are way higher now, or they're way
Yep.
less now.
Yep.
What the heck happened?" "Oh, because you checked this box on this one, but you
Mhm.
didn't really go update that."
Yep. Exactly right. You
Yeah,
did had a household there, but you did single here, married there. Then that. Yes. Great call
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah. And before we get into it, again, we're just talking the anatomy of a paycheck. Speaking on about these paycheck issues,
yeah.
let's pay the bills real quick. And if you're an
Okay.
employee out there and you're tired of your inefficiencies on your your time system, you're getting paid wrong because of time errors and they can't ever fix your time clock, time sheet right.
Mhm.
Suggest to your payroll and HR and your leaders to go check out Time Track Go.
Yep,
Is a solution that will turn any tablet in not any yeah any tablet into a state of the art time clock,
yep.
or they have a web portal, or they have a mobile app already and employees can clock in from anywhere. It solves these issues. It automates the PTO tracking. Time Track Go simplifies the time off requests, and that makes life easier for everybody involved. You can stop arguing with your managers and bosses about where's my check and where's my two
Mhm.
hours from the other day. So stop wasting time with outdated
There's a
systems.
lot of good words in there. Automates, simplifies, and making life easier. Man, those are great
Yes.
words, right?
Yep.
So look, Time Track Go has a special offer for our It's About Your Paycheck listeners, right? So right now they are offering an additional 50% off your first 2 months. So have your decision makers or your managers go over to www.timetrackgo.com /IAP. That's www.time TRA to the K go.com /IAP to start your 14-day free trial today so they can claim this special offer. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, man. So the anatomy of a paycheck.
As we continue to just think about this and how folks can think about their check, right? Try to make it easy as possible. And our paycheck really boils down to four main pieces. Okay.
Mhm.
Your earnings, your taxes, your deductions,
Yep.
and your net amount in that order.
Yep.
Four pillars of your paycheck.
Yep.
Boom. That's that there we go. That's a book. The four pillars of your paycheck. And the earnings, I tried to try to like I thought it was as simple as that, but then I started my payroll mind started thinking, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, no. So earnings could be your base salary, your hourly, your hours and your rate, right? Sales,
Mhm.
meaning if you get commissions for something or stipends for this or spiffs, they call it a million things, but it boils down to if you're in a
Yeah.
sales environment, you get something because of it. And it could be discretionary,
Yeah.
right? Bonuses, gift, whatever. You might get a stipend for doing something extra for a little time,
Yeah.
right? So all these things play into the earnings piece, that number one piece.
Yep.
Your taxes, a little less amount of items, but complex as it is. It's
Mhm.
going to be your federal and your state or your local, if
Mhm.
applicable. There are some states that don't have state and local, right? There are
Yep.
9 states out there, I believe, that don't collect at a state income level.
Yep.
There are other states that have state only. Then there are other states that have local as well.
Yeah.
But your taxes are going to cover those three, or if you're lucky, just one, just the federal. And then your deductions. And again, in this order. And it is also calculated that way, right? It's calculated in the order of earnings, taxes, and deductions. There is
Yep.
an order of operation. So if you ever see, wait, couldn't pay my medical. Yeah, you didn't make it enough hours. Taxes come out first, and
Yep.
then your deductions. But your deductions could be a wide range of things, but the most common things are benefits,
Mm.
right? Your medical, dental, vision,
Yep.
garnishments if they're forced, right? Because there's in deductions you have a mix of voluntary and involuntary, and then donations I also have seen in there, right? And
Yeah.
again, it could be other things, but and then the last part, the number four of your check is your net pay, your take home pay,
Yeah.
right? And that's the anatomy of a check really broken down. And what I would say is watch out for any section that may have a miscellaneous code. One, you need to look at your pay stubs, right?
Yeah.
I would say every paycheck, but every now and then better. Most folks don't. And if there's ever any miscellaneous in any one of those sections, please go and find out what that's about.
Yeah.
You don't want miscellaneous in your check.
Yeah.
And more to protect yourself because it could be happening and you're like, oh, I never noticed it, and then he turns it back on you, like, well, it's been coming out of your check or in your check
Yeah.
for a year. What do you mean you don't know?
Yep.
And then the last thing is just a warning. After all this, I was like, wait, cybersecurity, because we've had folks that have successfully had their direct deposits hacked and
Yeah.
rerouted to other places, and folks didn't get paid in a timely manner. If you're a good company, the company will make up for that immediately as they investigate.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go through that, right? See, if you got a good system, just please watch out for cybersecurity. Make sure your system is multi-factor secured.
Yeah.
If you have a portal of some sort, and just safeguard your information.
Yeah. And that's great stuff, man. Look, I'm the way I looked at the episode for the anatomy of a paycheck is like saying almost think about your paycheck. It's a body, right? There's an arm, legs,
Mhm.
functionality to it. So your pay stub is like that. Your paycheck is like that. Another way you can look at it is that you can look at your pay stub or your paycheck as like a financial selfie, right?
Ooh,
And
I like
so
that. That's
and
funny.
so it's a snapshot of the hours you worked, you're paid, your benefits, and possibly even your rights. Because sometimes, like in certain states, they have to spit out or list out your PTO and stuff like that. And they have to do that, right? So here's some interesting facts about why you should always examine your paycheck, right? To understand it a little bit more and get to that anatomy piece of it, right? So number one, your paycheck might reveal if you're misclassified,
Yep.
and
Number
believe it or
one
not, that's
error.
the number one error, right?
Yep.
And so, like 2025 has seen a rise in enforcement around worker classification. And it's rightfully so, right? Because there's lots of people that get misclassified. You may be a contractor, as an independent contractor, and you're actually an employee,
Yep.
right? And so you need to get that addressed. That's a red flag, right?
That's right.
Brian talked about deductions, those phantom deductions, the miscellaneous deductions, right?
Miscellaneous.
So, like some states are tightening laws around those, or what can and cannot be deducted. So, you want to make sure that you're aware of what can be deducted from you in your state. because every state is
That's right.
different. Like, so you just relocated from you went from Indiana to Texas. Texas has different laws about garnishments than
That's
Indiana
right.
does. So you really want to know what those laws are, right? And
Yep.
so if you have deductions for uniforms, equipment, or maybe cash draw shortages, they can be illegal sometimes,
Yeah.
but they still
Yep.
happen,
That's right. Don't
right?
be bullied. Don't let the company bully you into a deduction. You can absolutely push back and say, no, give me my money now. We'll figure out a payment plan that I'll sign to and that you'll put in writing.
Yeah,
Okay. Because
yeah.
even in the States, because I just went through something that I had to look at every state recently. And even though there are some states that don't formally force the signing, they're all
Mhm.
moving to that, they're
Yep,
trending toward that. And best practices for any payroll professional is to have your employee acknowledge and sign and agree to the payment plan.
yep.
So if they just do it and you pop out and your check is short for no reason, like, whoa, what is this? Oh
Look,
yeah, you blah blah blah. No, put my money back
yeah.
and we'll talk about this.
Especially say you're overpaid. There's some
Yep.
states that have protections for that.
Against that, that's right.
Against that, right? So for you as an
Specifically, yep.
employee, so you need to really find out about that. Look, wage theft is something that happens. Like you may think it's something that the employee is taking from the employer. No, it happens the other way around
That's
as
right.
well, guys. Like,
Managers trying to
yeah,
shade, oh no, you don't get overtime this week. What?
yep,
Excuse me? No, I already worked those hours.
yep,
That's
the-
on management, right?
yep,
If they're not regulating the way you're doing OT, that's
yep.
on them, not you. If you work the OT, you need to get paid for it, and then you can figure out the rest later.
So a good practice is to check out what your stub is, what you've been
Yep.
paid versus your
Yep.
time records at least once a
That's right.
month,
That's right.
right? And just compare it and say, okay, like this doesn't add up. I remember I worked a lot of OT this week.
Yep.
Let me just
Friend of
ask
mine
about.
keeps his own notes
Yeah.
because again, the system can be altered.
Yep.
And guess what? If you do have a sophisticated system, there's usually an audit trail. You
Yep.
could ask to see that audit trail. Hey, I want to
Yep.
see the audit trail on my time for the last 2 weeks. Who's been
Yep.
making changes? What's going on?
Yep.
Because my records show this, but I'm getting paid that.
Yep. And look, EWA or earned wage access is something
Wage
that is
access.
ramping up a lot.
Yep.
So that might be something that shows up on your stub. It should at least, especially if you
Absolutely.
are taking part of it or taking it. So it should reflect on your stub as well. You want your company to be transparent about that. And
That's right.
look, another thing you might want to know about is that your pay stub and your paycheck apps are not always the same. So a lot of employers use digital wallets or third party pay apps.
Yeah.
Employees, you may not be getting the same level of paycheck detail.
Correct.
I remember working. We're in the payroll field. I remember switching from one payroll company to another, and I
Hmm.
got some complaints because the employees were like, "Man, like I like the stub
Doesn't
in this
look the
other
same.
system.
Yeah.
And this one's like
The
trash."
visuals, yes.
Yeah,
The
like I don't
visual is not
understand
there. Yeah.
anything. Like the way it's formatted, it
Yeah.
looks like trash.
Like trash.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
and
it'll
so
have codes. It won't have, yeah, exactly. There's a million different things that could be wrong, but
yeah.
like you're the customer, right? When you read a pay stub, and there are some states that are really good with making sure the pay stub is good, California being the leader of the pack. You're the customer. So if you don't like something the way your pay stub looks, question it. It's
Yep.
your money. That's your livelihood. That's your life. Question it.
Question it. Yep. And
Yeah,
look,
for sure.
gross pay and taxable wages are not the same thing, right?
That's right.
So, look, a common confusion is that why is my taxable wage less than my gross? Like, why is this so much? I earn
Which is
more than
good
that.
though. Exactly.
I earn more than that. And a lot of
Yes.
people get that question on
Yes.
their W 2, right? Because some
That's
W
right.
2 show it in a different area. They show you wages on this one of those boxes. And then in the
Yep.
little small print, oh, actual gross wages is
Mhm.
this, right?
I think this is the first year in since I've been doing payroll that I haven't gotten that question
Wow.
of why is I didn't make my salary this year on my W-2. And
Mm,
it's usually because they're looking at their taxable wages, their
yeah.
box one, two, three. They're not looking at their gross that
Yep.
some stubs have on their gross on the W-2 as well.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
that's because a lot of people don't
good call
factor
out.
in those HSAs,
They don't even
FSAs,
understand what it is, right?
401k,
Like
commuter
all those
benefits.
benefits is
Yeah.
supposed to lower how you get taxed, right?
Yeah.
So if you make 100 grand a year, but you did 20 in benefits, you're only going to get taxed on 80, and that is accurate, and that's
Yeah.
into your to our benefit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, and
So
so
that's a great call out.
3 questions for you people that are listening, right? When was the last time you checked up line by line? Do you know what your year to date totals mean for your taxes?
Yes.
And the last one is, have you ever seen a deduction that you didn't recognize and just let it slide? Like Brian said,
I
like,
bet.
oh,
Yep.
yep. Like,
I bet
because
I
look,
did.
we're human, right? The people who process your data and enter it in, especially if you don't have an ESS or employee self service system,
Mhm.
fill out forms, and you have a more vintage payroll process.
Yeah.
uh,
Yep.
Um, may fat finger something and key it in wrong, or may enter your information on somebody else's record, or vice versa. Somebody's record, somebody's information is entered in your record. Next thing you know, you have a 401k deduction and you didn't even enroll in it.
You didn't even know it. You might have auto enrollments, which is
Yeah,
not a bad thing,
yeah,
right, folks?
they
But
call out.
maybe you can't afford it.
Yeah,
Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you already do something for your
yeah,
retirement and you don't need this extra and it's going to take you over your limits for the year.
yep,
Whoa. So look at what was the number one? When was the last time you looked at your paycheck?
yep. And look,
Yeah.
you want to try to understand what these things mean, like FICA, right?
Hmm.
That's Social Security and Medicare tax.
Yep.
You might want to. It'd be good for you to understand what year to date is, what
Yep.
pre tax is, what to date is, right?
Yep.
And ask some questions, like even if they're hypothetical, right? Like for instance, what if your employer forgot to withhold taxes for 3 months and you
Oh
didn't
my
know?
gosh.
And so when you go try to
Back them up.
file, when you go to the file, and next thing you know, you're like, because think about it, a lot of people do that. They don't realize what's going on with their taxes, and then they wait till the end of the year to go try to file, and then they call the payroll department like, "Hey, you guys didn't withhold any payroll taxes from me." He's like, "We didn't control that. That was something
That's
that
right. That's
you
employee
know,
self-service
you
most
know,
of the time.
yeah."
That's right.
And look,
Yep.
if you're in California or New York, like your pay may be different, the way your tax may be different. Like just a stub require you have different stub requirements in those states. So you need to understand what your rights are. All that
Yep.
goes into the anatomy of a paycheck.
That's right.
Your rights, your everything. Like I said, you look at your
Love it.
stub and your paycheck as like a body, right?
Yep.
Everything has its place.
I like
So
it.
let's end it with the question of the day, man. Who is more responsible for educating the employee on how to understand their pay, the employer or the employee?
I honestly think it's both. I think
Yeah.
there's only so far an employer can go, and I think the rest is on us to
Mm,
go out and seek the information. I mean, this question really is why we started this show, right?
yeah.
It's to fill that void because employers, it, not that they're trying to be malicious, but it's just not a big to do item because the
Yeah.
information is there, right? If you call them and ask them, they will answer your questions,
Yeah.
but they're not putting out a guide for you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? There's some guides out there, right? There's shows like this that you can come on and listen and learn about what it is. So, what do you think?
No, I'm from a different point. I have a different point of view on this.
Okay.
I think that the employer could do a better job of
Yeah.
educating their
You've always
employee.
felt, yeah,
Like
yep,
I,
you've been
I,
on
I
that tip.
I'm an advocate for that because I'm
Yes,
just
that's a good
like
way to put it. Yep.
I'm like, why not? If
Yeah,
if you
no, you're right.
if the employ look, I feel like this. We're business owners, right? We're our own employees. We don't have any employees right now, but look, if there is
No, don't worry about that. It's a
oh,
no for us. Yeah, it's a no
oh.
for us. Yeah, sorry, it's just making me think of something. My bad.
No, I was okay. So no, but think about it. I think as an employer or business owner, if we took the onus to educate our employees and empower them, don't you think that's going to have downstream impact for us as business? Like our employees are going to be, hey, you know what, my job really does care about me and making sure that I understand what's going on with my pay. My job really does go the extra mile to inform me about how my pay works, and they give me a breakdown of this and that. And this, look, I understand if I'm not saying that. Look, you have to go employee by employee and say, this is your
But
annual summary for your year, and I'm not saying you have to do all that for
no, I
them,
get it. I know,
but
I get it.
like
Yeah,
at least educate them, give them a guide.
tools, a
Yeah,
guide, where
yeah.
to go to look.
Look at this.
Yep.
Encourage them. Would encourage the employee to review their stub. Look at your stub to make sure
Be
that you're paying.
transparent.
Be
Yep.
transparent, right?
Yep.
And that what that's gonna do is that's gonna build the trust even more.
Yes.
You'll get people that wanna stay longer,
Yep.
and that would help you as the employer. So that's why I'm an advocate for it, for the employer doing it. And
Yeah.
look, I do agree with you that the employee has to want to learn too,
Yeah.
because I bet you there are some employers that do that and do try to educate and do try to do that stuff, but it's up to the employee to want to learn
Yeah.
too.
It's
Because
like you said, when was the last time you checked your paycheck?
yeah,
Do you know what the stuff means on your check? Do
yep,
you recognize all the codes? Do you
yep,
know what they mean?
yep.
So great call out, man.
Good show, man.
Yeah, great show. Until the next time, folks. We love you. Peace.
Peace.